Well, good morning. Okay, today we have a very important job here today. Um, it's a data recovery on this 5 terabyte drive. This is a unique case because the person who needs the data off of this is for someone who passed away. So I'm going to do my very best to get this data. Now, if I'm not able to, then I will send it off to the lab I use, and then they can get it. But basically, when I plug this drive into my docking station, I hear this. Okay, what that is a read arm inside the drive clicking back and forth. I'll show you here what that is. Whenever you hear that clicking noise, it's this arm right here that reads the disk. That's what you're hearing. Okay, so um, the way to do this before it goes to the lab, which is exponentially more expensive, is I get a board replacement. And you can see, let's see if I can show you here. These boards have, there it is on this one right here. It's hard to see, but there's a kind of. Anyway, you get this number off of here, and you go on to eBay and get you a board like this. Okay. Once you have that board, then you going to have to move over the BIOS chip so that it can read the contents of the board or the drive, so it knows how to talk to that particular drive. So this is our replacement. And these drive boards, they have revisions. You want to make sure to get the revision that matches what you're working on, so that way you don't run into trouble and it not working. And then again, this will not always fix your problem, but in a good portion of the time, it's not the drive itself, but it's actually the board, power issues, things like that. So let me get in there. Okay. All right. So this is the board right here. And what I typically like to do is write something on here like donor, so I know that this is the replacement and I don't get them mixed up. Okay, so I'll put that right there for now. Get rid of this. All right, so now we need to take this off of the drive. I'm using the iFixit toolkit. I'm not sponsored by these guys, but I found that this is a pretty decent kit right here for most purposes around the shop. Let's see what size. I think, what is it, like a T7, T6, something like that. Got to find the right one here. There we go. But yeah, these iFixit toolkits are pretty decent. They have pretty much everything you need in there. To work on most computers and electronic items, and even around the house, you know, little things that even in your car, but it's obviously for small things. So if you want to get one of these, I want to say that was about, I mean, I could be way off, but I think it was around $30 or $40. And they have bigger ones that are, you know, with more tools, and they have ones that are designed with phones in mind and tablets, I believe. But this is generally speaking, this is a pretty good one. Like one of these right here actually is the right one for putting the standoffs on the desktop motherboards. All right, so there is our bad one. And I'm going to put an X on this because I really don't want to screw this up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do what I normally like to do, and that is look under the microscope at this board just to see if there's anything that sticks out as bad. There we go. See if I can get this a little straightened out here. There we go. Now, with the type of problem that we're having, it's not likely to be something on this board. More like a logic issue if it's the board, because it's powering up. It's just clicking, click of death. This right here, this WinBond chip right here, that's our BIOS chip, which we'll be switching out. Alrighty. So far, so good. See, things like this stick out to me. Things like right here. They don't look bad, but in other cases, you're going to look for, let's say one of these right here had a mark on it like this. You know, that's what you're looking for when you're on like motherboards, mostly looking for problems. That's will stick out a crack like that, or you know, a black mark. Just something to look out for. That's pretty good quality. I need a manicure, but that's pretty good quality microscope. I don't really recall where I got this. I think I got it on Amazon, but they're all made by Korean and Chinese companies, and they all have their own brands. But this particular one is Hayear, which is Hayyear. It's about 1.5 years old now, but I like it. It's got a little bit of a glare to it on this light, but other than that, if I turn it like this, it's much better. But it does the job. All right, this is the back of the board. You never see anything here really, unless it was a burn mark or some sort of bad trace. And that looks good too. Okay, so everything looks fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the BIOS chip off of this one, put it on the donor chip or donor board. Okay, so let's take off the donor BIOS first and throw it in the trash. The reason why is because we don't want to confuse the two. Okay, so we are going to use a little bit of flux, and then we're going to use hot air station. I use a Atten, A-T-T-E-N, ST-862D. I've had good luck with it, I guess, but I do notice that a year in, I'm starting to get errors like E8, which is a heat issue or something. But I find that if I just turn it off and turn it back on, it comes back. But you know, I may look into something later on to replace it. All right, firing that up. All right, here we go. Doesn't take much to get this off of here. These are thin boards, so they heat up rather quickly. You'll see that solder gets shiny, and that's when it is melted. There it is. It'll pop up anytime now. There it is. All right, I am getting rid of that chip because I don't want to screw up and accidentally. Interesting. I just warped my bench thing. All right. I don't want to. Anyway, never mind. I just lost my train of thought. All right. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. That warmed up real quick. All right, I'm gonna put that over here. Switch back to the donor board. Okay, and we are not really gonna take a lot of time with this because we're just going to seat it in here and make sure that it is going to work. We're not. This is not a long-term deal where we're going to be setting this on here and using this. We're just going to try to get your data off of it. All right, let that dry, let that solidify, I should say. Now I'm going to push down on this. Sorry for the movement of my microscope. All right, I'm gonna push down on this, and then I'm gonna heat it up one more time so that it fully gets connected to that solder. Yeah. All right, I feel pretty good with that. A little crooked, but that's okay because it's. I'm sure that it's just fine as far as the connections go. All right. Let's just make sure that nothing's moving here. Good, good, good. All right, this side. Good, good, and good. Okay, so going back here, let's try a different angle. There we go. So now we've got the bad one with the BIOS chip off, and we have the donor with the BIOS chip transferred. So while this cools off, we're just going to move it right over here. Actually, wouldn't be a terrible idea to clean it just a little bit. I just use a little bit of alcohol and a toothbrush. Make sure that, I always say this, but make sure when you use alcohol, you're not getting the 78% that they sell at your local drugstore. Make sure you are getting the good stuff, which is at least 92%, because anything else below that is going to have a high content of water and not as much alcohol. Okay? All right. Now, if this doesn't work, then I'll just be sending this off to the lab. And they will take it from there. I particularly like the lab I use. It's called Salvage Data. And they've got all but one thing that I've sent them. They have got the data from it. Okay. And like I say, this is a super important job. The young man who passed away was only 17, and his whole life, the family's life and photos and videos and such are on this. So that's why we're going to send it to the lab if we don't get it. But I'm hoping to save the family money in the case of this drive, because they've just paid for a funeral and unexpected things. Anyhow, all right, so we'll get these last 3 screws in, and then we will see what happens. This works about half the time, really, to be honest, unless it's a drive issue, like a mechanical issue inside the drive, then that's where we'll send it off. All right, let's see how it goes.